Welcome everyone to another Keep It Classy Tech in-depth TV review. So this is the TCL S546 or 5 Series 2021 Google TV model, and in some ways it kind of suffers from middle child syndrome, being that the 4 Series is going to be fairly popular because of its extremely affordable price and is generally what's sold at your average Target or Walmart, and the 6 Series is the one that gets the headlines and has the best performance. However, the S546 actually does have very good performance for its price, coming in at $600 for the 55-inch and $800 for the 65-inch, while it offers raw picture performance of most televisions around $1,000 to $1,200, if not more. Now, most of those televisions will offer other things that this one does not. So, as you can see, out of the box, the settings are not great, and the color temperature and white point is pretty far off. In very, very dark, near black areas, there's way too much red. All this can be fixed, but no one's going to have a $600 television calibrated. But we'll get into that in a minute. So, another thing to keep in mind is the motion settings. Even with them fully disabled, there's some level of motion smoothing that's being forced and cannot be disabled. Now, it does use Google TV, which has a great selection of apps. The operation is fairly smooth, although could be faster. Your very first time setting up the television, it's going to be very, very slow. But once you get past that initial setup, then it's pretty much fine. As far as gaming goes, it does support VRR, and local dimming does seem to work with VRR, but it's at 60 Hz, not 120. Blooming is handled very well with the TV for its price range. Now, there are TVs out there like the 6 Series or the QN90A that will have much better blooming performance, but there are many TVs out there twice the price of this one that have much worse blooming control. As far as brightness, it does get around 700 nits in both SDR and HDR, which for, again, a $600 television is very good. But then something that's really not good is the sound. The built-in speakers are some of the worst that I have ever heard on a TV, to the point that when my receiver was down and I was forced to use the TV speakers for that night, I decided to go into the bedroom and watch my 3-year-old TCL 4 Series TV instead, because that has better built-in speakers than this does. I don't know why or how the speakers are going downhill that much. Obviously, they had to cut corners somewhere. This appears to be it. So I definitely strongly recommend at least an entry-level soundbar to go with it. I imagine most people that this would be a secondary or bedroom or something TV, so just keep that in mind, that you will need to get some sort of external speakers with the S546. So overall, for $600 or $800, I really think this is a great value. It's either going to be your secondary or bedroom TV, or if you're on a tight budget and you're looking for a real HDR impact, this TV can provide that, but it does cut some corners here and there. And if that's the kind of thing that's going to bother you, that's where paying extra money for something like an X90J would be an option. Alright, so next I'm going to get into the measurement numbers and accuracy and things like that, followed by some recommended settings or changes that you should do. So if all you wanted to know was it worth the $600 or $800, I would say absolutely. I don't think there's really anything else in the price range that I would consider a better performing TV. So I would like to remind you, if you do like this video, if you can please press the like button and leave a comment. That will help other people to find it. So now I'm going to start getting into the measurements and the performance of the TV, all measured with Portrait Display's Calman Ultimate software, with a link to Portrait Displays in the description of the video. So starting with the contrast ratio, with local dimming turned off, it was just under 6,000 to 1. And then when you enable local dimming to low, the contrast ratio will climb up over 8,600 to 1. And then when you enable local dimming on high, it goes up over 12,000 to 1, which is very good for an LCD. Now, as we get into these measurements for accuracy, I'm measuring for D65, but the TV is not set to D65 white point out of the box. So on its warmest setting in movie mode, it is lacking in green by a lot. So the measured errors are going to be quite high. Now, the color temperature is a bit warmer than 6500K, and the gamma average is not too bad. Although on the bottom end, it does need some work. So as we get into this chart, you can see where there's not enough green, and that's what's throwing off the white balance. And the cyan is not very accurate, but the other colors are okay. Now, I didn't want to do a full calibration because of the price of this TV, and I don't expect really anyone to calibrate it, although there is plenty of options there. So I just did a easy 2-point white balance adjustment to just fix that lacking in green, and then adjusted basic settings like the brightness and the contrast was too high out of the box, things like that, and everything fell into a much better place. And if the TV could come out of the box like this, then that would be really, really good. So maybe that's something TCL can look into for next year, or maybe a firmware update or something. That white point, I don't know what they were targeting, if they were even targeting anything or what happened there. But here you can see just very simple basic adjustments. It was way too bright in SDR out of the box in movie mode. So, and doing that did fix this issue that I showed in my previous video of the TV, where the dark areas were red and they shouldn't be. So all of that is fixable. So in SDR, I recommend brightness at 20 to have a much better black level, contrast at 90 because it does clip at the default 100, black level drop to 49 again to help the black level, and then local contrast I would have on high, and then turn off those other settings, and then gamma at 2.5. Then for color, just have dynamic color off. You can turn it on after, or if you want to, just for extra color saturation if you like that look, but it's not accurate. And the color temperature should be warm -5. And this TV does have some banding, so I would have gradation on. And then the motion settings, again, even if you turn them off, there's going to be some motion smoothing that's forced. So these are the 2-point settings that I used to fix the white balance. They may not copy over exactly to your set, because you can see I had to make very large changes, but it should get it closer to D65 than what you're looking at out of the box. So a weird issue I saw is when you make changes, you'll see it change on the screen, but it doesn't look like that once you get out of the menu system and start playing. Once you hit play, it's going to change what the effect looks like. So it makes it kind of annoying when trying to do the settings and see the effect that it's having, because you have to apply it back out of the menu, hit play on the show, and then see what happens. So when it comes to Dolby Vision, I'd recommend using dark. Now Dolby Vision can be weird depending on the show, if it was actually created in Dolby Vision or if it was originally HDR and then transferred to Dolby Vision. But generally speaking, if you want to set it and forget it, I would recommend Dolby Dark and then change the gamma to 2.4. And then make sure that the color temperature is on -5, it should be. And then, again, all your other stuff, pretty much you can leave alone. Motion settings are up to you. And with just basic adjustments, nothing advanced, the resulting Dolby Vision image is very good and definitely enough for most people. Now for HDR, using movie mode, just bump black level to 51. And then turn off dynamic contrast or black stretch if they aren't, and dynamic tone mapping should be off. Local contrast or your local dimming should be on high. The gamma setting I put at 2.3, although you could use 2.4 or 2.5. The color temperature, again, make sure it's at -5, and gradation you want on high. And then motion, again, is all up to you. So now we're going to move over to game mode settings. So just use the game picture mode, which should auto detect, and then contrast should be at 90 for SDR, and it's pretty much just a copying of the settings from movie mode. And then clarity settings should be off, and they're more limited in game mode. And then for HDR, again, you can just copy the settings from the movie mode. So now for VRR, if you come to this menu, you have to have the device that supports VRR in order for it to show up here. So on your Xbox or PC, if they're the device that's connected and you come to this screen, you go underneath eARC, and that's where you will see VRR. Alright, now that's going to do it for the TCL S546. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.